Hey guys, it's Chris and welcome back to another House of the Dragon video. And today we're talking about another major player, another character in House of the Dragon we'll see quite a bit that will be another probably fan favorite as well, although he is on Team Green. And we're talking about Aemond Targaryen, otherwise known as Aemond One Eye. And of course, we'll get to why he's called Aemond One Eye in the first place. But first, really quickly, we'll remind everybody I have a book out now. It is out live to the world. The Crimson Gods here, paperback, hardcover. We also have audiobook as well as ebook. All that is now available everywhere books are sold, Amazon specifically. And thank you guys so much who have supported this so far, who's ordered the book already, who pre-ordered the book, and for everyone leaving reviews on Amazon. I see them trickling in now, and that will really go a long way. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all the continued support. This is all pretty surreal to have this out live to the world, and even in a few bookstores. So if you like medieval epic fantasy, a little bit of dark fantasy in there as well, be sure to pick up your copy of The Crimson Gods. All those links will be in the description below. Anyway, let's jump into it. Aemond Targaryen, Aemond One Eye. He is the son of King Viserys I Targaryen and the younger brother of Aegon, who would become Aegon II Targaryen when Rhaenyra was passed over for the crown, which caused the Dance of the Dragons in the first place. Aemond was born in 110 AC to, again, King Viserys I Targaryen and his second wife, Queen Alicent Hightower. He also had two older sisters, Rhaenyra Targaryen, who we've talked about before in previous videos, who is the rightful queen, I might add, during this whole episode, as well as another sister named Helaena Targaryen, as well as his older brother Aegon, who would become king. So when Aemond and his brother Aegon were born, this caused some strife already because Viserys had already named Rhaenyra Targaryen his first daughter, the heir to the Iron Throne, due to what we talked about in the last Daemon Targaryen video. Now, King Viserys refused to change the order of succession, which of course started to split the family in two sides. Aemond and his brother Aegon being males, that brought up the problem of succession again, and this formed what was called the Queen's Party versus the Princess's Party, which would eventually be known as the Blacks and the Greens. And of course, their mothers, Alicent Hightower, the Queen, wanted her sons to become king as opposed to Rhaenyra, who she had been friends with all the way up until this point. So this started a little split between the family, and this carried over to their children. So Aemond and Aegon and all Queen Alicent's children became kind of bitter rivals with Queen Rhaenyra's children, Jaehaerys, Lucerys, as well as Joffrey. Since Rhaenyra Targaryen was named the heir to the Iron Throne, they thought they had a right to the throne after her, and rightfully so from their point of view. But since they were all family, Valerians and Targaryens got along, they intermarried, all this stuff, they were forced to spend time together, which made them dislike each other even more. In 120 AC, Aemond's brother-in-law Lenore Valerian died, so they all went to Driftmark for a funeral, and it was noted by his father, King Viserys specifically, that he was the only one not a dragon rider out of all his siblings. So his father Viserys said, you know what, if you want a dragon egg or maybe a hatchling, if you're bold enough, maybe you can claim one back on Dragonstone. And Aemond said, oh hell no, because I'm going to take Vhagar, the oldest and largest of all dragons at this time. Vhagar was actually on Driftmark because he was ridden by Laena Valerian, who had previously died as well, and at the time was riderless. So he made the attempt to take Vhagar for himself in secret because he knew his parents wouldn't allow him to go close to that damn dragon. So while on Driftmark, he made the attempt to go ride Vhagar, and he was caught by his younger nephew, Prince Joffrey, one of the three kids that he didn't get along with already. Now this time Vhagar was actually chained up on Driftmark. They had started chaining dragons up and keeping them captive, all that kind of stuff. And while Joffrey was screaming at him and stuff, being 3 years old, trying to rat him out, he did climb on Vhagar's back. He broke his chains, and he actually flew around a few times on Vhagar before landing again safely, successfully claiming him as his own dragon. So at this point when Aemond landed Vhagar, Joffrey had alerted his siblings, Jaehaerys and Lucerys, and they came out and all started fighting with wooden training swords. And then as they were fighting with wooden swords, Aemond decided to cut deep and called all the other kids Strongs. Now this was a reference to the well-known fact, or at least been more than likely, that these kids were actually the children of Sir Harwin Strong, Rhaenyra's lover, because of their brown hair as opposed to the typical Targaryen or Valerian silver blonde hair and purple eyes. So they were more than likely the children of Sir Harwin Strong, otherwise known as Breakbones, and Jaehaerys at this time was old enough to get the insult. In other words, he called them bastards. Aemond and Jaehaerys were fighting pretty heavily. Aemond gained the upper hand, kind of beating the shit out of him. So Jaehaerys pulled out his dagger and swiped it across his face and took out one of his damn eyes. Now after this fight happened, Queen Alicent demanded that Lucerys lose an eye as well for penance, but King Viserys refused. Now later on, Aemond would say that it was worth losing an eye to obtain Vhagar, and he became a pretty badass fighter regardless of missing one eye. So not only did he have Vhagar, the biggest and baddest dragon of them all at the time, he also lost an eye, but replaced it with a sapphire later on, which I think looks pretty fucking cool. And to add insult to injury, after Aemond regained his health, King Viserys held a feast in his honor for regaining his health, because he did get his fucking eye poked out. And all the family was there as King Viserys was trying to get the family back together. But after the king left, Aemond raised a toast to his 3 Valyrian cousins and mocked them once again by calling them 3 strong boys. Now, in 129 AC, Aemond's father, Viserys I, died, and this, of course, started the War of Succession that we know as the Dance of the Dragons. I've done many videos on that, but I will bring up one little incident about Aemond in particular. Aemond actually flew to Storm's End at one point to gain the support of Lord Boros Baratheon for the Dance of the Dragons for Team Green, and while he was there, Lucerys showed up as well to gain support for his mother, Rhaenyra. Aemond threatened Lucerys, saying he owed him an eye, but Boros Baratheon would not let them fight under his roof at Storm's End. So Lucerys ignored him and left on his dragon Arax, but Lord Baratheon did not say he couldn't chase him. So Aemond jumped on Vhagar, chased down Arax and Lucerys, and killed them both. Now from this point on, Aemond was known as a Kinslayer, which we know in the world of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones. Kinslayer is not a great title to carry, but of course this whole damn Dance of the Dragons was a whole kinslaying event in the first place, being a Targaryen civil war. Now, after the death of Lucerys, of course, Rhaenyra was upset that her son was killed. Her brother Daemon Targaryen, the Rogue Prince, which we just spoke about in the last video, of course, swore a son for revenge and contacted Lady Massaria, who we talked about in the trailer breakdown, which arranged for the incident of blood and cheese. And this is a completely different video, but this is where they got payback involving Helena's children. Daemon had arranged for blood and cheese to go kill Aegon II's son, Jaehaerys. Now, I won't get into that here. That's a whole separate video. That will be another kind of big event in Dance of the Dragons, which eventually drove Queen Helena insane. Now, I won't go through every various battle in the Dance of the Dragons. We've talked about a few of those before. We'll talk about those in other videos, or perhaps maybe when we get into the show, we'll discuss those in-depth battles. But I will talk about his death really quickly. Daemon Targaryen, the Rogue Prince, and his dragon Caraxes challenged Aemond, of course. He waited for him at Harrenhal for 13 days, I believe, until he showed up on his dragon Vhagar. And Daemon Targaryen, as well as Aemond One Eye Targaryen, both fought each other, mounted on their dragons in what's known as the Battle Above the God's Eye, which resulted in both of them dying and both dragons dying as well. And this is where Daemon Targaryen jumped from the back of his dragon and drove his Valyrian ancestral sword Dark Sister through Aemond Targaryen's other eye before both of them and their dragons fell to their death below in the God's Eye. I'm really excited for House of the Dragon. As we've seen this teaser trailer now, we're seeing more filming, and I believe we might get a full trailer somewhere around December, so I'm hoping this thing comes out in April. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. As usual, thank you for all the support, especially you guys on Patreon, and a huge shout out to my executive Patreon SmokeScreen producers. And if you dig what I do here, please give these videos a like, comment, and a share. And do me a huge favor, let's continue this momentum of the channel turning around since we started live streaming again and all that stuff as well. And hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot and does a lot more than you think to let YouTube know that we're still here. Don't forget to pick up your copy of The Crimson Gods. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.